So to you, Godfred of MMC, chop life, man, chop life.
I know they care what they say. Anything I go pay. And they love you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Traffic Avenue on 97.3 Citi FM. DJ Mingle and Lotus. We brought you this beautiful show. We are back on your radio tomorrow, God willing, at 2 p.m. Bringing you another beautiful show, the Traffic Avenue. It's on the radio every weekday from 2 to 5:30 p.m. All right? Catch me off air. My handle is at I am DJ Mingle on all social media platforms. Big shout out to Mr. Daniel Squashy for the technical assistance. Very much appreciated. Up next is Eyewitness News. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we are out.
Oh, yeah. 97.3. Come on. Let's go.
Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, the Traffic Avenue. Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, the Traffic Avenue.
Flex. Buckle up and join the best. Let's Citi, relieve your stress. So yes, let the music soothe your soul and keep it going just to refresh. Buckle and enjoy the ride from 2 to the half of the 5. Mondays to Fridays happening live. Where we gon' have a ball, you can text your guys. Let me tell you what you really gotta do. You can count on us, we come through. We got everything you need, that's true. Are you ready for the Traffic Avenue? Let me tell you what you really gotta do. You can count on us, we come through. We got everything you need, that's true. An applause for the Traffic Avenue.
Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, the Traffic Avenue. Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, Traffic Avenue, oh yeah.
Buckle up and join the best. Let's Citi, relieve your stress. So yes, let the music soothe your soul and keep it going just to refresh. Buckle and enjoy the ride from 2 to the half of the 5. Mondays to Fridays happening live. Where we gon' have a ball, you can text your guys. Let me tell you what you really gotta do. You can count on us, we come through. We got everything you need, that's true. Are you ready for the Traffic Avenue? Let me tell you what you really gotta do. You can count on us, we come through. We got everything you need, that's true. An applause for the Traffic Avenue.
Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, the Traffic Avenue. Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, Traffic Avenue, oh yeah.
Detailed news, unparalleled coverage. Citi News on 97.3 FM.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Citi News.
It's 17:30 GMT. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. I am Umaru Sanda Amadu. Tonight, I'm here with
Akusia Oche.
And coming up over the next 90 minutes, on James Jachi Kwesin and the calls for his prosecution to cease, the Attorney General Godfred Dami warns against it. We'll be hearing from persons who are interested in the matter, plus the fact that he has been sworn in today for the second time in 2 years as Member of Parliament representing the people of Asin North. Also coming up, recall the case where a 90-year-old woman known as Akua Dente was lynched at Kafaba in the Savannah region of allegations she was a witch, while the High Court sitting in Tamale today has sentenced two women, Serena Mohammed and Latifa Bomaye, to 12 years each in prison over manslaughter charges. We'll be telling you more on that. Plus, the Africa Center for Energy Policy's verdict on Ghana's energy situation. A very ugly picture that has been painted, which we'll be sharing with you here on Eyewitness News. Stay with us for that and other stories. We also have business coming up later.
Ghana Gas Company Limited makes strong case for gas as preferred fuel choice as the country considers energy transition options aimed at reducing energy sector costs.
That's in 15 minutes from the business desk of Citi FM and Citi TV. Eyewitness News is live across Ghana on a number of affiliate stations. If you go to the Western region, we are on Adrianpa 100.7 FM. In Takwa, we are on Beach 105.5 FM and Sky Power 93.5 FM, both in Takrady. We are on Greener 95.9 FM in Sunyani in the Bono region. We are on Adrianpa 99.9 FM in Nkawie in the Ashanti region. We are in the Volta region on Heritage 107.3 FM in Hohwe and Freedom 88.1 FM in Sugakopa. In the northern region, we are on Radio Gaki 88.3 FM in Saboba. In Upper East, we are on Quality 88.7 FM in Garu. And in the northeast region, we are live on Nobia 98.1 FM in Nalerigo. The show is interactive. Join us on WhatsApp 0549 986 996 or send tweets using the hashtag Citi Newsroom. Tweet at Umaru Sanda or at Citi973. We are on YouTube and we are on Facebook. Do follow the discussion here, and the world will get to know what you think when you share your views across. This is Eyewitness News coming to you from number 11, Dr. Martin Lupin at Abraka in Accra. My name is Umaru Santamado. Let's start off with James Jachi Kwesi. The man has been in the headlines for the better part of the last 2 months, if not more. There was a by-election. He's been elected today. He was sworn in by the Speaker of Parliament. But while that is happening, the Attorney General is concerned over comments that are being made in relation to his trial and the possibility of that trial continuing as even after he is re-elected. There was a call yesterday or 2 days ago by the Domahini, who is a judge, asking for the president to advise the Attorney General to enter nolli prosequa. The Attorney General has taken issue with that. There's a 2-page statement that he has issued, Godfrey Yeboah-Dami. We'll be analyzing that statement for you. But first, let's get the perspectives of someone who has occupied that office before, in fact, the one who handed over to Godfrey Dami in that office. The Honorable Marietta Brewer-Piaopong, she served as Attorney General in the John Mahama government. Madam, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thank you very much, Umaru.
How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. And you?
I'm doing well. You've been following the news space, I'm sure. You've been hearing all the issues that have been coming up. The latest one is the gentleman whom your party sponsored in the Asin North constituency, the issue of treason that is hanging over his neck, the charges that are, not treason, I beg your pardon, the issue of perjury that is hanging over his head. There's a call for him not to be prosecuted. The Attorney General is not very happy with that. Yesterday, I spoke to Ayikwe Otu. He served as an Attorney General in the Kufuor government. He said politically, he thought there was a need for that nolli prosecutor to be entered. I wanted to pick your perspectives as well to this issue.
I totally agree with my learned senior Ayikwe Otu. And I know the call was also made earlier by the Domaheni. I agree with both of them that this is a time, or in these particular circumstances, the AG ought to enter a nolli prosequi. I agree with them.
And what will be your basis for agreeing beside the other points? What will be your key arguments?
Listen, look at the fact of this particular case, which is public knowledge. It was the facts were articulated clearly in the Supreme Court decision. Kwesi, as far back as 2019, had filed an application with the Canadian authorities to renounce his citizenship, his Canadian citizenship. as far back as November 2019. Now, we all know what happened in 2020. In 2020, COVID happened. And we all saw that the entire world almost came to a standstill. He could not get his renunciation certificate early enough, that is before October 2020 when he was filing his nomination with the Electoral Commission. Ordinarily, he should have had it by June 2020. It didn't happen until November 2020. Before the election, he had his renunciation certificate. At the time he won the election, he had his renunciation certificate. By the time he was being sworn, he had his renunciation certificate. That notwithstanding, the Supreme Court annulled his election. He's been re-elected again by the people of Assin North. And we have re-emphasized that this is the person we want to represent us in Parliament. Having regard to all those circumstances, and the fact that the people have again chosen to re-elect him in the spirit of unity, in the spirit of fairness, in the spirit of justice, I think that the AG ought to enter a nolle prosequi. These are my views. Pursuing the case with alacrity and vigor with which he seems to be proceeding now, I do not think it's fair, and I do not think that it's in the interest of the people of Assin North. It's not in the interest of the nation for us to continue on that trajectory. Those are my views.
You talk about fair, you talk about justice. The Attorney General says that, and I'm going to read point 2 of his statement for you. He says, the Attorney General respectfully reminds Ghanaians of the principle of the equality of all persons before the law enshrined in Article 17(1) of the Constitution. No person living in Ghana, citizen or non-citizen, is above the laws of Ghana or immune from an application of same. Now, the Attorney General is simply saying that if the man has conducted himself in a way that the AG believes is criminal, he ought to be trialed. And he says that everybody is entitled to a lawyer and all of that. Why don't you let that process go through? Why should he be treated specially and differently from everybody else, or than everybody else who is suspected of having committed a crime?
Would this be the first time that the AG has entered a nolle prosequi? No, it would not be. You recollect that in the past, there were some persons being prosecuted for, I believe it was an attack on the KMA officers or an officer of the KMA. A nolle prosequi was entered by the office. You recollect that?
I recollect Aisha Huan, the Chinese national. That comes to mind immediately. The issue about the KMA officer, I'm not sure. I think they came into the court, freed the guys. Later on, I think they were fined. The court fined them. That's what I recollect. I'm not sure. Okay. But I get the point you're trying to make about nolle prosequi. However, the Attorney General says, even though we have the right to speak on matters before the court, we are going beyond our limits in making these comments. I'm looking for the quote for you, where he says that the Office of the Attorney General and Ministry of Justice has observed with serious concern the increased tendency for various persons, including members of the legal profession of considerable standing, to run extremely prejudicial commentary on cases pending before the courts. Now, your call that you are making, the Domahini's call and several other calls that are being made, he believes that this prejudices the case, and it even affects his attorneys who help him prosecute cases of this nature. You have been in that office before.
I totally disagree. Now, a nolle prosequi entered by an Attorney General simply means I will no longer prosecute. It does not in any way interfere with the administration of justice. A call for that does not interfere with the administration of justice.
Does it amount to giving directions and directive to the independent office of the Attorney General and Ministry of Justice?
Not at all. It's a plea. Nobody can force him to enter a nolle prosequi. But you can plead with him, which is what everybody is doing now. The Domahini, the chiefs of Assin, my latest senior Ayikwesu, and I am adding my voice to it, that he should enter a nolle prosequi. It is a plea. It is not a direction. Please remember that the Office of the Attorney General and Minister for Justice is a public office. At any point in time, that office is also subject to criticism by the public. Now, if the public believes that the exercise of those powers are not being conducted in a manner that is fair, in a manner that is just, in a manner that brings about, in this case, the unity and an end to this particular trajectory they are on, the public are entitled to comment. The public are entitled to make the call on him. There's nothing wrong with that. Nobody is forcing him to. It's just a plea that is being made to him.
The question...
So I'm not sure why you're saying that it affects his attorneys, it affects him. Even the president is criticized. The judiciary are subject to criticism. Why not the office of the Attorney General, that we do not think that these particular steps we are taking augur well for everybody? We are pleading with you, exercise it in a particular manner. What is wrong with that?
He thinks that you are asking him to exercise the discretion in a particular manner simply because this person that we're talking about is a person who is a high political or a profile, a political person or a politically exposed person, and he thinks that that is not fair. Everybody is equal before the law.
Everybody is equal before the law. That is correct. Everybody is equal before the law. But we are saying that in these circumstances, we think that it is fair, it is just, it is right that he enters a nolle prosequi.
You have,
we are all. I'm a very senior lawyer. Ayuko is a very senior lawyer. We will not make this call, and he's occupied that office before. We would not make this call if we thought that it would interfere with his powers. How can the call for you, an AG, to enter a nolle prosequi in a particular case, which is of public importance, which is of public knowledge? Everybody is talking about it. How can that be an interference with their function? Respectfully, I disagree with that statement.
All right. Finally, you have sworn to defend the Constitution of the Republic as a lawyer, yes, and also when you were Attorney General. The Attorney General holds the view that this gentleman held dual citizenship or had issue of allegiance before contesting the 2020 election. He swore to a public document or to a public officer that he did not hold any public allegiance. Now, the Supreme Court has affirmed that position of the AG, and indeed that position which has led to the seat becoming vacant. The Attorney General wants to prosecute that crime against the Constitution. You are saying that even though that crime has been committed, it should be shelved. Does it not mean then that next time the floodgates will be open for many more people to commit more crimes? And I'm not saying that James Jachikwesi has committed a crime. Everything I'm saying now is without prejudice to what's happening in the courts. But the criticism is that you're opening the floodgates for more people to commit more crimes against the Constitution, and because these people get elected, they go free.
I disagree with you. I totally disagree with you. Now, yes, the Supreme Court has declared his election null and void. And he put himself up for re-election, and he's been re-elected again by the people. And I'm glad you are saying that you are not saying that he has committed any crime. He hasn't been found guilty. So I think that you should withdraw that. It should be clear that he has not been found guilty.
I've explained that. I said whatever I've said is without prejudice. That is the case of the Attorney General in court. I'm just saying that that's the case they are prosecuting.
We are simply saying that looking at all the circumstances, and remember, we are not just saying this in a vacuum, that just enter a nolle prosequi. We are saying that looking at all the circumstances, the peculiar circumstances, I remember that at the beginning of this interview, I looked at the circumstances surrounding the filing of his nomination and his election in 2020. We are saying, and then his re-election. We are saying that looking at all those circumstances, and remember, every case is different. We are saying that we are pleading with the Attorney General. He should enter and knowledge what's required.
Very well. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your views with us, madam.
You're welcome.
That's former Attorney General, the Honorable Marietta Bro Apia. She served as Attorney General in the Mahama government. Last night we heard from the former Attorney General who served in the Kufuor government, Aikwe Otu. And then also we're hearing now from the current Attorney General, Godfrey Diebo Adami, who has issued a statement. In the statement, he makes a number of points, 7 points in all. Let me give you the last 3 points. And he says, the Office of the Attorney General and Ministry of Justice observes that many of the recent comments by various persons on some criminal matters, particularly those mentioned above, that's the James Jachikwesin case and the Dr. Oponi case, widely publicized in the media, clearly exceed the bounds of acceptable speech as they seek to disparage prosecutors in the eyes of the public and frustrate prosecution of those cases. Some of the comments are orchestrated to pervert the cause of justice and or prejudice the fair hearing and determination of the cases. The Attorney General and Minister for Justice, in the discharge of his duty to protect the administration of justice from abuse, hereby entreats the general public to permit the streams of justice to flow freely and uncontaminated by undue comments and pressure on the courts. The Attorney General finally cautions that no immunity is conferred by a person's position in Parliament, the judiciary, traditional authority, the bar, or any official position from the consequences of an interference in the administration of justice or an attempt to overreach a judgment to be delivered by the court in any matter. We must respect due process. Signed, Godfrey Diebo Adami, the Attorney General and Minister for Justice. Now, this is the statement that he has issued. You've heard from the Honorable Marietta Bro-Apia Opon. Let's hear more related to this particular issue, the James Jachikwesin matter. Akwesa, you have more stories.
Yeah, let's move on to his swearing in because he was sworn into office by the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin. James Jachikwesin was declared winner of the recent by-election held in Asin North on Tuesday, June 27. The former President, John Dramani Mahama, the leadership of the National Democratic Congress, and some party supporters were in Parliament during the swearing in of the MP. Let's listen to James Jachikwesin being sworn in by the Speaker.
I, James Jachikwesin, do in the name of the Almighty God swear. Do in the name of the Almighty God swear. That I will bear true faith and allegiance. That I will bear true faith and allegiance. To the Republic of Ghana. To the Republic of Ghana. As by law established. As the law established. That I will uphold the sovereignty and integrity of Ghana. That I will uphold the sovereignty and integrity of Ghana. And that I will preserve. And that I will preserve. Protect. And defend the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. And defend the Constitution and the Republic of Ghana. So help me God. So help me God. We now take the oath of a member of Parliament. I, James Jachikwesin, having been elected a member of Parliament, do in the name of the Almighty God swear. Do in the name of the Almighty God swear. That I will bear true faith and allegiance. That I will bear true faith and allegiance. To the Republic of Ghana. To the Republic of Ghana. As by law established. As by law established. That I will uphold. That I will uphold. Preserve. Protect. And defend the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. And defend the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. And that I will faithfully and conscientiously discharge the duties of a member of Parliament. So help me God.
So that was Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, swearing in Member of Parliament for Asin North, James Jachikwesin. Let's still stay on the swearing in because the Minority Leader, Dr. Kaisel Attoforsen, spoke regarding the swearing in.
Sadly, on the 6th of January 2021, every effort has been made by proxies of government to prevent Mr. Kwesi from representing his people, including injuncting him from functioning as a member of parliament. Mr. Speaker, and this lasted for almost 14 months until the Supreme Court finally made their pronouncement. Right, Honorable Speaker, when these machinations by proxies of government failed to break the resolve of Mr. Kwesi, the government then took up the challenge frontally and instituted a criminal charge against him with the Attorney General, virtually urging the High Court to hear the matter on a daily basis, all to prevent Mr. Kwesi from campaigning for re-election. Mr. Speaker, the President even went further by calling on voters of Asin not to vote for Mr. Kwesi because he was jail-bound. Mr. Speaker, the President was certain and categorical when he said, don't vote for someone who will end up in jail. Right, Honorable Speaker, this singular categorical statement from His Excellency the President is not only prejudicial, Mr. Speaker, it's a threat to fair trial and justice, and therefore undermines the judicial system, which is indeed the anchor of our democracy. Right, Honorable Speaker, all these machinations did not deter nor weaken Mr. Kwesi's resolve.
Minority Leader Dr. Kaisel Atto-Forson. Still in Parliament, the Majority Leader Osechi Mensah-Bonsu denied assertions that the criminal charges and legal proceedings against the Member of Parliament for Asin Jachie Kwesi amounted to selective justice.
Nobody from a true conscience can say that this is persecution or selective justice. Let us respect the Constitution that all of us are sworn to uphold. Selectivity would be when you elect to apply in piecemeal the entirety of the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, so people should understand and appreciate the import of this Constitution. And when it comes to be applied, it is not selective justice. Mr. Speaker, examples are born in this house. We witnessed the appearance and disappearance of the Honorable Samuel Nyimaka. Article 97 was applied. He appeared and had to disappear. The Honorable the second day. He appeared and disappeared. Article 97 came to be applied. So, Mr. Speaker, when you have people talking about selective justice, we wonder where they are coming from. We have decided, indeed, committed ourselves to uphold, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Republic.
Majority Leader Osechi Mensah-Bonsu.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
You know, Papa, see that? And it's rickety car. Hey, Papa! Bobo, so how's your engine now? It is half man, half amazing. Thanks to Quartz and you can feel better energy. Can't touch this. Tell you guys, so Sancho's engine just died like that? Yes, so somebody managed to convince him that there is a better engine oil than Quartz, and he switched. Sancho Panza. Now, which engine oil can be better than Quartz? No other, my guy. Quartz with its age-resistant technology, it keeps your engine younger for longer. Now you know. Have you guys seen the new bottle design? It's superb. Quartz 9000 from Total Energies there improves fuel efficiency. Why do you think Mr. Mane and Logoso have taken the Quartz Nation movement World Cup like that? Sorry. Chairman. Quartz. Keep your engine younger for longer.
Hey, you ever buy credits where you get up to 20% of your money back before? Make I tell you about Vodafone's demo promo. See, anytime you recharge a demo, you get up to 20%, whether it be short code or your Vodafone cash wallet, or you use credit transfer to your number or someone else. And now you be high tech, so you use my Vodafone app or any payment app. However you do, Vodafone go send you up to 20% cash back. Into your Vodafone cash account. Who reload here? Top up your airtime with 5 Ghana Citi or more in Vodafone's demo promotion and receive 20% of your money back straight into your Vodafone cash wallet. Recharge and cash out in the Vodafone demo promotion.
Vodafone, further together.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
You're welcome back. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We are broadcasting from Adabraka in Accra. My name is Umaru Sandamadu here with Akosia Oche. Let's talk about the energy sector now. The Africa Center for Energy Policy has issued a report, in which report it catalogues a number of challenges in our energy sector. One of them has to do with the IMF conditionalities, and ASEP says the IMF conditionalities are not preventing energy sector leakages, which means that the leakages are continuing unabated. I've seen what has been written about one of our plants. Is it the AXA? Suggesting that we have leaking roofs and all of that happening. It appears that we have abandoned one of our very key installations. The man who authored that report is Ben Boachi. He's Executive Director of ASEP. He's joining us on the line. Mr. Boachi, welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thank you, my brother.
So the headline we have on our website is the one that talks about the IMF conditionalities, but that's supposed to have been the solution. And you're saying that this solution is not even preventing the leakages in the sector. First of all, what are the leakages that you found? I've mentioned one of the plants, the one that is supposed to be taken to Kumasi. You said that that is not happening and we are not even maintaining it properly?
Yeah, so I think this report essentially tries to bring together, and I must correct that this is the work of the institution, not one individual.
All right, okay.
That looks at, what we really need to do if we are to avert the energy sector challenges. We have tried various options to be able to present a sector that really recovers its cost through the value chain. And those efforts have not yielded the needed results. So we are hoping that the new IMF program, through the policy prescriptions and also government commitment, will be able to reform the power sector. So we're just trying to highlight some of the problems that we still see that may, make it difficult for us to achieve the sustainability that we are looking for in the energy sector. And we realize that, one of the key things has been to push for tariff adjustment to be able to recover the cost of production, transmission, and distribution of electricity. But we look at the data on revenue that is coming in and how much is going to pay for the value chain. We don't see that sustainability actually manifesting in that. And we chance on data that showed how much the value chain was actually paid in March and April. And we saw that we paid about 11%, 11.2% of the revenue requirement for that period. You compare that to what we're doing around 2020, 2021, where ECG was doing about 50% of revenue requirement. It clearly shows you that something is really going wrong that we need to urgently track for us to be able to push forward rather than declining on meeting the revenue requirements of the sector. So what are the critical issues that are making it difficult for us to be able to achieve that sustainability? And we also track some of the decisions and actions that have been taken at this point, where, I'm sure it's not the first time for you to hear about, excess capacity, plans that are not needed in Ghana, and yet they're here. All right. Fortunately, we have some of the plants that were signed up to in our Doomsday days. It talks about AXA, it talks about Mary, and the rest of it. So Mary expired last year, I think late 2021. So, and we have the plant. We have paid for the plant, right? And it's packed and idling with the assumption that we're going to push it to Kumasi and generate power from the middle belt. We've had that conversation where our position was that we could have a more cost-effective option of sending power to Kumasi than relocating the power plants to Kumasi, because then that brings up the cost of rebuilding, gas pipelines, which again we say is going to cost Ghana about $1.5 billion in gas subsidies. All of these are going to crystallize in cost. Even as we speak, that pipeline is ready, and AXA is pushing for, GNPC to build that into the electricity tariff, which PRC is still resisting. How they do that in the immediate term when the power plant is still sitting in Takoradi and essentially wasting away. And not just wasting away, we're now seeing extreme deterioration of the plant where the roofs are, because it's close to the shore. It is. I mean, you recently heard FASU badge or surgical badge being given away as scrap because of the conditions it was subjected to. So we still have that plant sitting there, and it is rusting. From what we have learned, some of the computer boards have been affected. They are not working. Air conditioners are beginning to deteriorate. So if you want to bring that plant, to the grid right now, you have to make investment to be able to do that. The converse of that, we are signing up and extending some of the PPAs that are going to cost us money instead of optimizing the ones that we have paid for. And one of them is AXA, where we have now renewed AXA and saying that we are taking 40% on take or pay, and now saying that 40% is fine once it's not 100%. But the reality is that anything in excess of what you need is a waste. All right? So if you really have plans that can save you in this critical period where revenue mobilization is low and debt is accumulating, IPPs for the first time in our history are threatening shutdown. You have to be optimal in your decision making to ensure that the sector is not further jeopardizing the economic prospects of our country. And that is what we see happening. All right? Now, IPPs were saying that as of May, we're owing them about $1.7 billion. If you calculate how much June added, we are inching closer to $2 billion. And the gas sector alone, too, there's a lot of debts that are being created. We owe Stanchart about $380 million. Outstanding invoices from ENI and its partners is about $207 million. That is close to $600 million. You put those two together, we are over $2 billion, $2.4 billion just on the energy sector alone. So these are scary numbers that we really have to make sure we are dealing with and freezing inefficiency in decision making and revenue mobilization, and ensuring that the public purse is actually exonerated or absorbed from these kinds of inefficiencies. So that's what essentially the report tried to put together. I mean, we've been talking about these things forever, right? But we needed to bring it together for people to see what stares at us in the face. That if we don't deal with these things, and the budget even talks about them, that the business as usual, every year we're going to spend on the average more than 23 billion Ghana cedis to subsidize the power sector. So in 3 years, we anticipate that we will spend about $97 billion for power sector under recovery. And you measure that against capital investment in the social sector on roads, education, agriculture, social protection. We are doing about $48 billion. So clearly, we are preparing to waste more money in the energy sector, business as usual, at far more than what we're going to spend in actual development of our country. And that scares us. And we need to act quickly to avert these things. And those things are not going to be done by the IMF. We need to have a robust plan in place to track accountability and transparency in the space and ensure that we don't escalate the problems that we have on our hands.
From your reading and study of the challenges, does it look like there is a plan to prevent the mess from happening? Or we just have to wait? It's just a matter of time, it's inevitable.
We have never been short of plans in this country. I mean, you track back what has happened in the energy sector in the past decade. We've always had plans. Talk about what took us to MCC Compact 2. I mean, Ghana government decided that amongst all sectors, it was the energy sector that was critical for focus for us to invest the $500 million in to be able to ensure that power procured, power generated can be sold and recovered. I mean, that position or that approach jolted. It didn't happen. PDS came for a few months, and we know what happened. So we couldn't deliver on that. We got, World Bank funding for ESRP, and the ESRP program that we needed to take action to prevent leakages in the distribution transmission systems to reduce the losses. That plan has been there. The losses are still occurring. Right now, we are not talking about ESRP phase 2. So plans have always not been our problem. It's the action and holding people accountable that has been disastrously managed. And that's why we keep talking about it, and the situation is actually worsening.
If that is the situation, the picture looks bad, and the IMF cannot really be the savior, what's the way out of this?
So, I mean, we prefer solutions as usual, as quickly as we can. We have to make sure that electricity will be distributed to anybody who wants it. And one of the major problems we have seen is that meters are not available, all right? And therefore, people are connecting, they are stealing the power. Some of the people who are stealing the power are the people who are actually supposed to protect ECG, the workers, the contractors who are doing the illegal connections for people. And it's deepening by the day. That has to be fixed immediately. We cannot, in 21st century, 2023, say that we don't have enough meters, we can't procure meters, we don't have money for meters, we can have money for any other thing. We need to get meters available as quickly as possible. How we get that, that has to be determined, because we have people and committees all across the sector managing this power sector, and we need to be able to find meters to be able to distribute the power and recover money and stop people from stealing. Even if we have to set up a court that quickly prosecutes and sanction people for power theft, we have to do it and send a signal. It has to be leadership on these matters and prevent the inefficiencies. Let's clarify what kind of power systems we need. The Energy Commission has to do its job. We cannot continue to sign up for 20-year-old plans promising to give us power and ends up lying idle, and we are paying millions of dollars every year for them. We have to halt those kinds of agreements immediately and make sure that we are saving on that front as well. So there's a gamut of things that we really have to do to make sure that immediately we can halt the leakages and bring the power sector to sustainability, and by that also transmit that to the broader economy, because if the sector is not able to pay, because government guarantees most of the power plants and the gas supplies, the budget is then the budget has to take over those burdens.
Very well. Before you take leave of us, the IPPs, they are our solution, but recently they've threatened to be our problem. What do you know about the status of the challenge they've been raising, or the challenges they've been raising, and the governmental intervention?
No, I think for them it's about payments, right? I mean, if you've built and power has been generated and sold, they have to be paid according to contract. And if the money is not coming, then we will keep seeing these kinds of agitations and threats to shut down. I hope we'll find a solution, but the solution really is raising enough money to make sure that we're able to pay them to avert some of these threats that because in the past, government would just take money and pay them, right? So we could see in a year, government paying IPPs about $1 billion or $1.2 billion dollars, and you didn't hear any noise. Now the government itself is broke; it doesn't have money to be able to intervene. So we have to put things in order for us to be able to sell power, raise the money, and pay for the power generated.
The government, we are told, is planning to restructure the debts owed the IPPs. We know that the government is already having a general issue of debt restructuring. We're seeing the problems that are arising from there. Do you reckon there will be problems arising from this, and what would that mean to the sector? Good for the sector, bad for the sector, dooms or imminent?
Well, I think it's up for negotiation. I wouldn't want to say that government cannot be successful at restructuring. But again, this is power consumed and sold. They didn't borrow from the IPPs. They provided service. So I don't know how they would negotiate that, but it's up to the IPPs to see what they can give. It's a difficult economic circumstances. I'm not able to predict how that negotiation will go, but it wouldn't be the usual haircuts where by regulatory power you just announce measures, because this is service provided and it has to be paid for. But again, if they look at their bankers and think there is a way to restructure the debt, I think it will help everybody for us to have a reasonable conversation on what is possible in that space. But most importantly, whilst you are talking about the existing debt, you have to have a plan to stop the accumulation. And that has been my bigger concern. You are accumulating more debt, and you are talking about restructuring the existing debt. You're not going to have a reasonable conversation with anybody. If you were able to freeze and say that going forward, when I buy power from you, I'm able to pay for the power. But let's talk about the accumulated one or the arrears. Then you can make a headway trying to negotiate that. But without a handle on the accumulation, and then you are saying that every month you come for restructuring because the debt is accumulating.
Let's pray for the best. Thank you for speaking to us, Ben.
A pleasure.
That's Ben Boachi. He's Executive Director of the Africa Center for Energy Policy. Talking about debt restructuring and general issues that are arising from the IMF, let's move to the issue of bondholders. They have had some challenges with the government about the payment of their principals. There's a statement, there's been some picketing happening at the Ministry of Finance by the pensioner bondholders. Now, there's a group, the Coalition of Individual Bondholders, Ghana, made up of the Ghana Individual Bondholders Forum and the Individual Bondholders Association of Ghana. The two groups have a statement that they've issued under the same umbrella, and it is giving an information to the police commander in Accra that they plan to picket on 6th of July 2023. One of the signatories to this statement is Senyo Hosi. He's convener of the group. He's joined us on the line. Senyo, you're welcome to Eyewitness News. The pensioners have been at the forecourt of the ministry picketing all this while. Is it the case that while they are struggling, asking for their principals to be paid them, you, the individual bondholders, have not been mentioned at all? Nothing has happened so far?
Absolutely not the case. One, let's get a few things right. As a forum or as a group, we consist of different kinds of individual bondholders, including people who are also pensioners. So not just non-pensioners who make our group. We also have pensioners as part of our group. The advocacy has been at different levels. The Pensioners Bondholders Forum, which is a different group, opted to really work and advocate more using the picketing. And I think that is very fair and fine within their rights. And I think their strategy to face off, as it works for them. What we opted to do was to engage with government and develop solutions that can actually resolve this. We've been very, very cooperative with government. We've explored various options, but we partook in the technical committee deliberations. We tabled various recommendations to government. We worked out a modality for the payment of the interest, or what you call the coupons. That was followed, and I think both parties were beneficiaries of it, i.e. the pensioners were beneficiaries of it, the non-pensioners were also beneficiaries of it. That culminated into an arrangement, which is currently the memorandum of understanding that we have with the Ministry of Finance. That sought to achieve a few things. One, resolve or create a balance between government's liquidity challenges and its obligations to its citizens, particularly individuals, and help alleviate the pain, the challenge, the struggles of individuals whose only crime so far has been to trust their government. We agreed on a modality to resolve this, and this was simple. Government was having liquidity challenges because, as you can see, it is having challenges with its treasury bills, and at certain times it's failing. At other times, you also realize that for government to even meet its obligations, it has to increase the interest rate on the treasury bills. That actually increases government debt risk position at any point in time. What we agreed with government was that for all our principals that are due, we convert these to treasury bills, spread over 3 different tenors, one 91 day, one 182, and then the other one 364. That gives government a lot more flexibility. So it was a win-win structure. It wasn't the best of outcomes for us, but something that could also give our country and our government a breathing space to be able to advocate or manage its fiscal reforms as currently structured. These agreements were supposed to be effective 1st of June. As we speak, we have received no memorandum of exchange or exchange offer. There's supposed to be some legal work that has to be done to move this process forward. The implementation has significantly lagged, and there's a lot more uncertainty. People are having real struggles. Sandra, many people have lost their jobs, from the banking crisis to all the challenges with the economic downturn. People have to live on their savings, and access to their savings in the place that was supposed to be the safest today has tended to be otherwise. A state that is supposed to pursue the interests of its people cannot neglect the interests of its people the way that government is currently handling affairs. What is most painful in all this, Sandra, despite this cooperation that we've had, sometimes communication to even tell us where we are and what the next steps are has been found wanting. We had to petition the president for the ministry to act. And we have had good cooperation, I must say, from the IMF and the Paris Club to the neglect of we the citizens who they are also supposed to take care of. We have had to make this call to opt to start taking stronger social action interventions, not just out of our default choice, because our strategy has been to cooperate with government and come up with a win-win way, but out of it being practically the last option. We've been so reasonable and cooperative. We've not been out there screaming and shouting since we decided to sit on the table with government. We have brought our technical expertise in otherwise insensitive, interventions from government. This kind of neglect, this kind of unresponsiveness is not one that should be of public policy access. And I think government has set up. We have no option than to really start taking on very strong social action interventions, which are totally unnecessary. There's no necessity in trying to create so much agitation within your public space or within your populace, within your citizenry, only to do what you are supposed to do anyway. Why do presidents have to picket for government to now act and do what it could have done before they picket? You can't be a government just responding to picketing. Just like that, as if you don't even have an organization and engagement of your own. We should be engaging each other. We should be working and implementing and understanding the agreements we have. And that is all we are asking for. So 2 things. Government has to pay up the principals outstanding from February 20th. From February 20th, the coupons, I must say, from our engagements and the structure and strategy we put in place with government, they have honored them significantly. A few of them outstanding in June, which is also a breach of the Memorandum of Understanding. We also need to have the legal processes to implement the MOU effective immediately. There's supposed to be an exchange memorandum that's supposed to be issued, sent to us for our review, and everybody assent to it, giving government the right to convert these instruments into treasury bills. Up to date, Sandra, officially no response, no engagement. I don't know who does this and why this should even be done at all. It's very disheartening, very depressing, because this is the state supposing to be every day in pursuit of the interests of these people. Fairly, what has been the crime of these people? People are struggling to pay their school fees. Universities are coming back. Secondary schools are going back. People need to fund fees for their wards. Support them. How are they going to survive? People depend on this to take care of their parents. Not every old person in this country gets a pension. People depend on their children. In Ghana, for a long time, our strategy to pension is your own children. So now if your children can't earn their income, they have lost their jobs, what meaning are you bringing to their lives? This untold hardship must stop. And whoever has listened, have a heart, and be fair to these engagements. Our demand is simple. Implement the memorandum of understanding that was signed by no less a person than the minister, Honorable Minister of State at the Ministry of Finance, under the auspices and under the directive of the Minister of Finance himself for the government of Ghana. Honor your word.
Why don't you go to the courts, Senor?
Sandra, it is an option, but it's an option of extreme last resort. We should be engaging, advocating to actually have more expedited resolutions, because I think we are all reasonable. Somehow in the country today, there's too much pressure on government. Focus and attention is lost on things that matter. And somehow the only way to get them to even remember that your case is still outstanding is to actually now have to advocate publicly. And that's sorry. That's actually unfortunate. We have made so much progress, not by going to court, but by engaging and judging. And we intend to still do that. But we can't do that this way. And that's why we are now having to adopt this particular option, so that the reality, the suffering, the pain that people are going through will be brought straight in the face of the people who have to take the action, the policymakers, the Minister of Finance, and his leadership. They should see how people are really suffering, how persons with disability are struggling. People have invested their whole life savings over 10 years, 15 years. So today, now that they are jobless, they can have a meaning to life. And you forget it overnight. We've made so many concessions, Sundown. So many concessions. But what in return? And this is just processing an agreement and implementing the agreement you yourself executed and developed together with us. It's not a one-way street. It's been a cooperative street. Let's keep the cooperation right.
Thank you, Senor.
And bring back hope and meaning to people's lives.
Thank you. We'll be at your picketing on 6th July. Thank you for speaking to us. That's Senor Hosi. He's convener of the Individual Bondholders Forum. They plan to picket at the Ministry of Finance on 6th of July. So they've sent a notice to the police command. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. What else do we have, Akwesha?
So former CEO of defunct Capital Bank, Atuesian, has been handed another lifeline to redeem financial obligations to the state or risk facing a jail term. The court in May 2023 gave him a 2-month window to at least pay in full the first 20 million cedis out of the 60 million cedis he owes the state. But in court on Tuesday, the convict was not able to meet this directive. Atuesian was convicted in December last year on his own plea after striking a deal with the state under Section 35 of the Courts Act to avoid custodial sentence. He has, however, been having a hard time fulfilling a 90 million cedis debt obligation imposed on him by the court. Now, away from that, a meeting between Organised Labour, Sunnis of Parliament, and the National Labour Commission has ended without a resolution. Organised Labour is set.
Tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock, we are meeting to discuss the issues that have arisen between the two of us. And we are confident that once the parties engage, we should be able to find an amicable solution to this whole impasse. So that's what we are hoping for.
So have you suspended the strike there?
No, not yet. The strike is still there. It stands. On the 10th of July, if our demand is not met, we will strike. But what I'm saying is that the engagement should lead to an amicable solution. And once that amicable solution is reached, then there's no need for strike.
Dr. But this is not the first time you're engaging the management of someone else. How convincing are you that this time you'll be able to resolve the problem?
Today is 4th July. Those days were June, July, March, and all the rest. Today is 4th July. We are going forward. We are not going backwards. So we are confident that the engagement will yield something.
That it will reinstate the trade.
We are confident that our engagement will yield something positive. If not, of course, you know what will happen.
Doc, you are very sure about this.
I'm confident. I say I'm confident about the fact that we are meeting tomorrow and our engagement must result in something positive for all of us. When they get them back, it's good for us, it's good for them, it's good for this country.
Secretary General of the Trades Union Congress, Dr. Yaoba. Now, news just coming in is that one person has been confirmed dead, while 4 others have sustained severe leg fractures after a health center under construction collapsed at Assemblies, a community in the Gas South municipality. Eyewitnesses say the structure caved in after the rains started. Some eyewitnesses were of the view that the material being used in the building were inferior, hence the collapse. The Municipal Fire Office commander in Kaswa came in to rescue the trapped victims under the rubble, but says several factors might have contributed to the collapse.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Passengers, Mama me 2 minutes per why? Neighbor Cecilia.
Driver, you can't do this in London.
Oh, English, madam. We dear Miss 1 minute per why? Shell,
Driver, we're in a hurry, please. What's all this about?
Oh, madam. Help me say thank you to Shell. Shell Fuel Save lasts longer and helps us to save more money to do more things. Also, because I'm a member of the Shell Club, I get loyalty points every time I buy fuels that I use to redeem gifts I love. I can get third-party insurance for my car, free medical insurance, provisions for my home, and many more. Shell day my side. In fact, when I see another Shell station, I will hug everyone there.
Hey, driver, what do you fire Kwanzaa?
Hey, English, madam. Into TG.
Enjoy numerous benefits when you buy fuel from Shell. Get loyalty points to claim third-party car insurance, family medical cover, provisions, and many more for free. Driver, Shell day your side. Go well.
This July, get up to 50% off Electroland Ghana Limited products. Massive Discount Bazaar is on again. Get massively discounted electronics and home appliances
From Electrolux, Samsung, Media, ABB, Nasco, Homeland, and good news, Toshiba is having a clearance sales.
from Friday to Sunday, 7th, 8th, and 9th of July. 9 a.m. each morning at Coca-Cola Roundabout Spintex. Items are a mixture of brand new, slightly used, scratched, showroom display, repaired, and dented.
Call 050-315-9739.
EGL, home of electronics and affordable luxury.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
After inspiring you on the Voice Factory stage last week, our talented contestants will mount the stage to perform their renditions of your favorite pop songs this Saturday. From the catchy beats of chart-topping hits to the infectious melodies that get stuck in your head, we'll be bringing you a celebration of all things pop. Get ready to be blown away by their incredible vocals, energetic dance moves, and electrifying stage presence. Prepare to have some fun this week as we enjoy some pop music on The Voice Factory Season 5. Tune in to The Voice Factory Season 5 on Saturday, 8th July 2023 at 6:30 p.m. and follow the prompts to vote for your favorite contestants via the short code *920*973#. You can also visit citytvonline.com/Voice Factory to vote. The Voice Factory Season 5 is brought to you by Ebony Condoms, refreshed by Eddie's Pizza, official voting partner Nalo Solutions, refreshed by McBerry Twist Cupcakes, and sponsored by Copen Hospitality. The Voice Factory is powered by Citi TV with support from 97.3 Citi FM, Alisa Hotels, Linash Beauty Parlor, and Makeup Ghana.
Get the details. Every significant financial transaction, every market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. Citi Business News. Be informed.
Hello and welcome to Citi Business News and Eyewitness News, brought to you by citybusinessnews.com. I am Akusi Ochre. Let's get you details of our stories now. The president of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, Dr. Joseph Obeng, has indicated they will welcome any move by the government to widen the tax net to include groups outside the business community. touching on Guta's expectations ahead of that crucial mid-year budget review to be represented in Parliament by Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta on July 27, 2023. Dr. Joseph Obeng said it would not be prudent for the government to introduce
include those people who are not paying, rather than recycle tax payment along the few people who are paying the taxes. Of course, if it is in a new area outside the mainstream tax payers, then I wouldn't have any problem. It means that the government is bringing some innovation somewhere. That one is acceptable. Any such a thing, when it is done, I will be very surprised and I will be disappointed, because it wouldn't make any sense that we keep on piling the taxes. How long are we going to be overtaxed? There should be a cut-off point, and I believe the time to realize now is now. What we are expecting is give some respite to businesses. What we are expecting that some of the taxes are looked into. I'm not expecting that government announces any new tax. I will be surprised, and I wouldn't know the kind of strategies they are bringing to bear in terms of the running of the economy. It will be counterproductive. There's no prudence in that.
President of Ghana Union of Traders Association, Guta, Dr. Joseph Obeng. Now, the Chartered Institute of Taxation in Ghana wants the government to consider waiving taxes for businesses and individuals whose activities have been impaired by its domestic debt restructuring program. Government launched the exchange program as part of a broader response to the country's macroeconomic challenges and to help restore Ghana's capacity to service its debt and meet other expenditure obligations. But the exercise has resulted in financial losses incurred on financial instruments. This, the Chartered Institute of Taxation wants to be checked to ease the burden on individuals and cost of doing business. Its president is George Ohenekwitia.
Government is going into debtorship. It means that the government is challenged in honoring its debt as default. And some people or some contractors who have provided services to government, and under the circumstances, if they are not being paid, it will be unfair. Under the current circumstances we find ourselves as a country, for taxpayers to be paying taxes on amounts due to them from government, when government hasn't settled those liabilities to them. So asking of them to settle the appropriate tax liability would obviously grind their business. And what we are saying is that they also should be given the chance to write off amounts due to government and amounts due from government, which hasn't been settled as specific provisions, so that they do not necessarily have to pay taxes on incomes that they have.
That was George Ohenekwitia, who is president of the Chartered Institute of Taxation, Ghana. Now, the CEO of Ghana Gas, Ben K.D. Asante, has emphasized the need for a gradual and balanced energy transition. The Ghana Gas CEO at a stakeholders roundtable discussion highlighted gas as a preferred transitional fossil fuel due to its low carbon emissions and cost effectiveness. He urged Africa to seek internal financing for capital projects and develop the intellectual capacity to manage them. Away from that, Dr. Novishi Akutu, an award-winning orthodontist and Chief Executive Officer of Platinum Orthodontics and Advanced Dentistry, has stated that artificial intelligence will push the boundaries of orthodontic care using aligners, a series of invisible, removable, thin coverings that move teeth into their correct position. She was confident that with the advancements that are currently being witnessed in the use of aligners, patients will achieve excellent results within shorter treatment times when treated by a well-trained professional. Dr. Akutu made the remark at the 32nd Annual Congress of the Ghana Dental Association held in Accra.
I think that the next 5 to 8 years is firmly an aligner game. The rate of use of AI adaptation is phenomenal. I believe that Invisalign is now launching the next product, which I believe is called SureFlex. SureFlex picks up the fact that those of us doing great numbers
feel as if we are tied to our laptops and forever manipulating clean checks. The AI will now be specific to us and will look at our preferences and tailor-make it for us, thereby reducing the need for us to intervene.
Dr. Novishia Kutu is an award-winning orthodontist and CEO of Platinum Orthodontics and Advanced Dentistry. Finally, in its quest to meet the dynamic needs of its clients, Rana Motors has officially launched the Kia Carens into the Ghanaian automobile market. The new automobile, which is a spectacular combination of futuristic technology and inspiring design, promises to serve the demands of families.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
You know, Papa, see that? And it's rickety car. Hey, Papa! Bobo, so how your engine now? It is half man, half amazing. Thanks to Cause and you can feel better energy. Can't touch this. Tell you guys, so Sancho's engine just died like that? Yes, so somebody managed to convince him that there is a better engine oil than Quartz, and he switched. Sancho Panza. Now, which engine oil can be better than Quartz? No other, my guy. Quartz with its age-resistant technology, it keeps your engine younger for longer. Now you know. Have you guys seen the new bottle design? It's superb. Quartz 9000 from Total Energies there improves fuel efficiency. Why do you think Mr. Mane and Logoso have taken the Quartz Nation Movement World Cup like that? Sorry. Chairman. Quartz. Keep your engine younger for longer.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
You remember that bizarre story where a 90-year-old woman was killed in the Savannah region because neighbors suspected or accused her of being a witch? The High Court sitting in Tamale today convicted and sentenced two women to 12 years imprisonment each for the death of the old lady, Eyewitness, at Kafaba in the Savannah region. The two persons who have been convicted and sentenced are Hajia Serena Mohammed and Latifa Bomaye. The lynching happened in the year 2020. Richard Fogo is a man in the Savannah region. He's joined us on the line. Richard, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Omar, and good evening to you.
For those who do not remember the facts, remind us again of what happened in 2020 July.
Yes, the people of Savannah region and indeed the whole of Ghana and the world on Thursday, July 23, 2020, woke up to the news of a 90-year-old Eyewitness in Kafaba, that is in the East Gunja municipality of the Savannah region, being lynched to death, allegedly due to accusation of witchcraft. We're told that a soothsayer was imported into the community by some youth to exercise the community of witch attack. And the soothsayer pronounced the old lady a witch, for which reason she was beaten mercilessly and left to die, was later rushed to a hospital in Talaga, where she was pronounced dead on the same day. So yes, following which the world cried, NGOs and so on and so forth, the police moved in, arrested some 5 people, including the chief of the community, brought them to the regional police command here in Damangu. Afterwards, screening was done. The chief was later released and the 5 remanded. Later, the woman, the supposed to stay, which is the Hajia, was arrested, and the woman who was said to actively beat Neteya Ul Akredente Bomaye was also later arrested and charged with the counts of committing murder or attempted murder and murder. They pleaded not guilty earlier on, but later in the court, their lawyer wrote to the court, following which the pleas were changed to guilty to manslaughter. So today, the 2 women have been jailed. Earlier on, the other suspects that were arrested together with these women who were standing trial were acquitted and discharged. But you know that the news brought Savannah region into a very bad light because issues of witchcraft attacks were not heard in the region. We know of witches camps in the then northern region, which Savannah region was part of, but none of these camps existed in the region. So the Regional Coordinating Council and the chiefs did not take that lightly. A foundation was thus formed, Akredente Foundation. Some engagements were done in communities to engage them into using alternative means to resolve such accusations. So yes, this is what has happened, and many thought that the case had died. I do know that in the lead up to the elections, there were accusations that the regional minister then, Salia, intervened and to ensure that the suspects were released, which turned out today not to be true, because he was a member of parliament for the area where this incident took place. But the police continued their work, and today this conviction has been achieved.
I see. I'm sure it's too early now to be asking for reactions, but we'll leave it here. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thank you.
That's Richard Fogo. He's our correspondent in the Savannah region. Talking about reactions, Lamnatu Adam is the executive director of Songtaba. Songtaba is a women's rights advocacy group that has been interested in following this case. Madam, you're welcome to Eyewitness News. I believe you would have heard the news from the High Court sitting in Tamale today. What's your reaction?
Good evening, Omar. I think that we as women's rights organizations and human rights defenders are quite excited about the judgment today. One, it's something that we have followed up severally. It's been 3 years, but at long last, we've had judgment today. And I think that's something that we can clap our hands for the judiciary.
Do you think this will serve as deterrent enough?
Well, for me, I think that yes. Once we get perpetrators, sentenced for their actions, it will deter people. It might not be the end of it because this is a deep cultural seated issue. And so we cannot rule out the role that communities need to play. And for that matter, even our chiefs and elders need to play towards the protection of very vulnerable groups in our society.
Do you think, since this issue happened and the trial ongoing, we did not record any similar incident, did we? You are the ones who are in the space. What have you been picking up so far? Are people learning and moving away from that?
Well, since the Kafaba case in 2020, there have been several witchcraft accusations. I think the recent one is the Zakalisi case, where two people were killed or lynched, let me see, due to witchcraft accusations. So we've seen several others beyond the 2020 case. But then we still think that once we get the court to act swiftly and put the perpetrators, to book, then there will be some kind of reduction in the ways people behave towards women in the event of accusation.
Very well. Thank you so much for speaking to us, madam.
You're welcome, Omar.
That's Lamnato Adam. She's Executive Director for Songtaba. Songtaba is a women's rights advocacy group. So if you're just joining us, the High Court sitting in Tamale has convicted two persons, Hajia Mohammed Serena and Latifa Bomaye, to 12 years imprisonment each, or for the murder or for the death of a 90-year-old woman, Ikea Dente, at Kafaba in the Savannah region. Now, on July 23, 2020, Ikea Dente was lynched over a witchcraft allegation. Police arrested 7 people, including the chief of the Kafaba community, Seidu Iyaya. Hajia Serena Mohammed and Latifa Bomaye were later arrested at their hideouts. The two suspects, Hajia and Latifa, were charged with attempted murder and murder. However, the other accused persons, Haruna Agnes, Isifa Tanko, Isifa Sakibu, Shaibu Muntala, and Suleiman Ali, were acquitted after the Regional Attorney General's Department legally counseled the police or advised the police to do so. Abdullah Ahmed, it is under his traditional jurisdiction that this dastardly act was committed. Sir, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thank you very much. Let me just make some correction. Yes, I'm Theodore Abdullah Ahmed. I was the chairman of the Akuya Dente Foundation, but it was not under my jurisdiction, but it is within the Gunja Traditional Council at the time, of which I'm a member of the, I'm within that area. But there was a committee that was formed, a foundation that we put up by the regional administration, and I was the chairman.
I see. Did you play any role in the arrest and prosecution?
Yes, to some extent. We just right away we had a collaboration with the regional minister. As I said, it was the regional minister at the time, Honorable Saleh, who put us together. And quickly, his PRO, Mufti, was then also the PRO of that organization, foundation. And we did a lot in support of the Security Council through the regional minister, to get the arrest and then the other programs going on.
What do you make of the decision of the court today?
Very fantastic. Very good, because somebody was asking me, they said 12 years on each count. And I said, yes, that would have been 24, but they are running concurrently. That means that it is just 12 years each for each of them. And that is quite good, because what they did is even not acceptable within the Gunja traditional systems. What used to happen those days is that if somebody was accused of witchcrafting, this one, whether the law allows that or not, but people used to be accused. But when they were accused those days, they were taken to a place called Sonyo or to Bipe for them to go through some pacification and brought back. If it is a woman, she is given to the chief. If it is a man, they either take him somewhere or declare him a persona non grata and take him out of the area, and then he goes to stay somewhere and create. So some new villages that you see in the Gunja area those days were created as a result of people who were banished from the communities as a result of witchcraft, accusation, but not beating them to death or giving them those kind of torture.
Now, what is your development or foundation going to do moving forward to prevent these incidents from recurring? Because we've already recorded in other parts, but to ensure that we do not see this again.
That's right. Just after the Akuyadente issue was an issue in Sumpini. And the Sumpini issue, we were already, what we did, immediately was to meet the Yagbonwura at that time, Yagbonwura Tuntumba Suleimana, and then, his council, some members, just to explain to them and let them take away their authority when such issues happen. They should not shield those people. They should give them out so that they can be dealt with according to the law. And then also we framed songs. We had one Agrura, very powerful guy who sings Agro, Gunja traditional songs. He sang a lot. Just only yesterday I listened to one. I never knew today would be the final judgment. And those things, we played them, and also in different languages, including Konkomba, Vagla, all other languages spoken in Savannah region. He did all those things, and we made little other, those things are still in circulation, and then we are still talking. In fact, the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, just before we were sworn in, the Commissioner, Joe Whittal, was here, and then, other important people, including the fact that late Nuruddin Jaola, chief, he was here, and then all of them were part. Everybody came on board, Minister of Chieftaincy, Women Affairs, and the rest. And it has gone down a little bit because it's just our typical or usual behavior, sorry to say, as Ghanaians. Sometimes when the issue comes, we do the firefighting. When it goes back, then we relax a little bit. We are not as vibrant as we used to be, but at least the information is still there. But then organizations such as Traj and then the NCCE are doing a lot, especially when it comes to education on witchcraft accusation and the consequences.
Thank you so much for speaking to us, and please continue with the good work, sir.
Thank you very much. I'm grateful.
That's a Tolompeura Abdullah Ahmed, who is also a member of the Akuyadente Foundation. This Eyewitness News, the segment known as Point Blank. Before we wrap up, the Minister of State at the Ministry of Finance and Member of Parliament for Gusau is Dr. Mohammed Amin Andam, has been in Parliament to brief the House on a number of issues in the sector that he is a minister for. I just want to give you a quick few points of what he's been saying to the House of Parliament. Listen.
I rise up to ask the Minister for Finance how much is owed the various pension schemes, including Senate, by the government of Ghana.
Mr. Speaker, government's total indebtedness to pension schemes as at end May 2023 is 2,631,855,254 cedis, 0.06 pesos, comprising the following: Tier 1, Controller and Accountant General Department mechanized payroll, 1,628,859,472 Ghana cedis, 0.37 pesos. Tier 1 subvented institutions, 188,597,229 Ghana cedis, 0.04 pesos. Tier 2 mechanized payroll, Mr. Speaker, is 808,213,964 Ghana cedis, 10 pesos. And Tier 2 subvented institutions, 6,184,588 Ghana cedis, 55 pesos. Mr. Speaker, government paid 2,672,533,059 cedis, 86 pesos, to various pension schemes in 2022. Between January and end May 2023, government had also paid 2,206,659,921 Ghana cedis, 90 pesos. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Ask the Minister for Finance whether the Ghana Revenue Authority's 24-month contract for an amount of about $18,240,000 between McKinsey and Company Incorporated Ghana achieved the overarching aim of increasing tax revenue substantially over and above the baseline of 17% year-on-year growth.
Mr. Speaker, revenue mobilization remains a challenge for us as a country. Our tax to GDP ratio averages 13%, which is lower than the average 18% for the sub-region. Therefore, unlocking the full potential of our domestic revenue mobilization is one that is at the core of the President's vision of a Ghana beyond aid. McKinsey was engaged to support our efforts to increase tax revenue over the baseline of 17% year-on-year growth, as indicated in the question, and other interventions to increase